All right, let's look at the CPI numbers that came in last week. They said that, hey, there's virtually no inflation, and this is accounting for the health insurance premiums, right? And they're saying, oh, look at the CPI, there's no inflation. You libertarians are wrong. Okay, let's look at this. Look at the CPI numbers by the US government. So, if you're looking at this, there's first of all stating that your health insurance premiums, right, consist of 0.659% of your income. Okay? 0.659%. So less than 1% of your income. Okay, so now let's say you make $40,000 a year. Okay? And your premium's $150 a month. So let's do 12 months, okay? So that's roughly $1,800 a year if you're getting premiums $150 a month. Say you're a single person, okay? So let's do the math. 1,800, because these seem to be reasonable numbers. Okay, this is saying 4.5% of your income is spent on health insurance, assuming that you're paying $150 a month. And you're going to see much higher health insurance premiums in the year forward. And the United States government, first of all, is telling us that health insurance premiums are roughly 0.659% of our income. Where are they getting these numbers from? So if they are telling us that, number one, we have low inflation, and basically you're paying, or of your income, it's 0.659% of your income when it comes to health insurance, then what else are they misrepresenting? You have to remember this. When it came to this healthcare law, this healthcare bill, the Obama administration said, number one, the basic tenet of what got it passed, and that was, number one, you will be able to keep your health insurance plan with this new Obamacare rollout. And what happened? Millions of people have lost their insurance, premiums are going up, and the list goes on and on. The US government also rigged the numbers right before the 2012 election. So what other numbers are the United States government manipulating? So for those guys who are deflationists, please explain to me, how could you buy the CPI numbers when in fact they are cooking the books when it comes to, number one, health insurance premiums? What are they also looking at? They're looking at prices. They're not looking at the packaging size or content. So inflation, these CPI numbers are definitely rigged. Okay, now if you want to look at the Billion Price Index, which looks at approximately 50,000 prices, and this is a number that's conducted by MIT. So if you're looking at the red line, it's the Billion Price Index, roughly 2% as of the beginning of November. The US government, unfortunately, is saying inflation, CPI numbers, is roughly 1%. So if you look at this, first of all, you look at the GDP numbers that are calculated by the US government. What you do is you take nominal GDP minus the real inflation rate. And they're taking the real inflation rate as the CPI number, which is cooked, as I demonstrated there. And if you're looking at a better price index, which is the Billion Price Index, still not completely perfect because it's only taking into consideration of prices. It's not looking into packaging size and content. What's the real inflation rate? It's at least 3 to 4%, right? And if you look at 4%, suppose it's 3.5%. That means the GDP that the United States government is producing is clearly false. I mean, not false, it's just basically nil. Right? That's not even including the phony accounting numbers that the US government puts out there. I mean, first of all, you have amortization of all of these items that shouldn't be amortized, and what you're doing is you're putting it to the income of these companies. And as a result, the companies have to pay more taxes. So they're clearly inflating the books of the United States government through phony government data or through market and accounting manipulation. So if you look at that, we have, number one, higher inflation than what the US government's telling us. Two, the United States is definitely cooking the books. And three, if you're saying that we have deflation out there, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I mean, if you want to look at some other things, Let's look at it right now. See, when people are saying there's deflation, what are they talking about? If you look at the total credit market debt outstanding 2008, it's $53 trillion. Right now, it's $57 trillion. So that if you look at inflation, inflation is the increase in money supply and credit. This is credit. Total credit market debt outstanding, $57 trillion. It has increased since 2008. So some people may say that you have deleveraging in other sectors of the economy. Yes, you do have deleveraging in other sectors of the economy. That's correct, but that's not deflation, right? If you want to look at deflation, you need to have a contraction of credit. You don't have the contraction of credit. And if you look at where the credit mainly is expanding, it's expanding to the United States government over here. Look at this column, federal government, credit market, instruments, liability, from 6 trillion to 11 trillion. You have to remember that some of the debt of the United States government is paid off actually by various entities in the US government. So that's why you don't see it $16 trillion or whatever the hell the debt's at, probably 17 trillion. So that's something to note. So people are saying deflation. I see it on these other threads. There's no deflation out there. Could you have a deflationary head fake for a certain time like you did in 2008, 2009? I mean, based on the total credit market debt outstanding, you did have some deflation in 2008, 2009. There's no doubt about that. But for those individuals saying that we have deflation right now because you're looking at the velocity numbers, you're wrong. Simple as that. We have deleveraging. You could call it disinflation. But to straight out say that we have deflation right now, I really don't know what to tell you guys. I'm not trying to be rude, but after reading that comment on some of these YouTube pages, it's just driving me nuts. I mean, these Keynesians don't understand basic economics. Simple as that. And I see these other talks about how this one individual says that the Federal Reserve is not destroying the middle class. Yes, it is. It's takes two incomes to raise a family right now rather than one family like back in the day. So these guys are clearly wrong. Simple as that.